Hello, and welcome to Read Scholars Live. I'm your host, Dr. Mary Fleming, and current president of Read Scholars. I am so excited to have with me today Miss Reagan Portis, and she is the author for Just for Girls, a coloring and activity book. Yay! So, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Mary. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about the work that you're doing. And for our listeners, we don't often get the opportunity to speak with one of our youth who are doing extraordinary things. So I think they will be also excited to hear from you. But before we kind of dive into all your projects, tell us just a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What grade are you in? What's exciting you about school these days?
My name is Reagan Portis. I'm 14 years old in the ninth grade. Just got to high school. Um, what's most exciting for me about school is getting done with it.
Uh,
Trying to, get done with it. We're at the end of the school year, so I'm trying to get through and persevere. And that's practically it about my school.
Okay, okay. I remember those days, especially at the end of the year. You're kind of excited about the summer and the weather starts to get warm and thinking about all the things that you can do over the summertime is always fun. So, and I think too for you, you have so many things you do outside of school, right? So tell us about some of your projects, not your current projects, but how did you get into being creative into the technology space? Like what drew you to those type of activities?
What drew me? Well, I had started just did dabbling, drawing, and just I wanted to learn how to do video editing because when I was little, I wanted to be a YouTuber. So I
Okay.
wanted to learn how to do it myself, but that never really worked out. So then I looked at, well, how could I use my skills to make money? And so I started doing video editing for clients like you all, and I have other clients as well. And so, yeah, that just kind of fueled my entrepreneurial mind as well as my mother. She loves giving me ideas.
She does. She loves giving me ideas too. Tell me a little bit more about your creative side though, because you can draw really well and you create products in that lane too. And again, another income stream, right? Because you sell products that you create. So tell us a little bit about that too.
For drawing, I just kind of went with it. I just started drawing on paper and then I got an iPad. And so I started doing it digitally. And then people saw my artwork and they wanted to, for me to draw logos and portraits. And now I do concept art for people where you draw the kind of build for 3D modelers
Mm.
and and of course my coloring book. I spent time doing that, and that's for my creative side. That's where I usually put all my emphasis on.
And jumping back to the technical side, you say you self-taught yourself most of these things, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
tell me how do you even know where to start? Like I don't know if I was gonna decide if I wanted to be a because okay, full disclosure, when I first started podcasting, I was like, I can do this myself. I'm gonna go Google how to edit down these videos and the audio, and it was horrible, right? It
Right.
was horrible, and I was like, I can't do this on my own, and I couldn't figure out how to teach myself how to do it. So, how did you even start? Like, where did you look? How did you have the confidence to keep going if you hit a stumbling block? Why is it fun for you? Like, give us some of those insights.
Well, I started by looking it up on YouTube,
Hmm.
and I kind of have a base for where to start, like beginning, middle, and end. So that's how I kind of envision what I want the video to look like. And of course, I consult with the client, but that's how I envision it to look like. So I take beginning. What do they want in the beginning? I know they need an intro, they need introduction, they need music, The middle is usually the easiest part because I'm just going in, editing little details like that. If they want words to come in, I'll edit words, and then the end is just an outro. So I just kind of have a little mold that I always put in my videos to make sure I get this, and then all the creative stuff kind of just flows after that.
So you're very natural at this, is what you're telling people. It's just kind of your thing. I get it. I get it. It's not everybody's thing. It's definitely your thing. What for people who are, the content creators and they're sending things to the technical side, what are what are tips or suggestions that you give people about how to make their content better, how to make it flow a little better, how to make your job easier on the editing side? Like, what can people do better?
Well, I would say something, not a lot of dead space,
Mm.
because if you have a lot of dead space, you're having to go cut, cut, cut. Kind of have a list of what you want in your video and already kind of have it spliced up so that I could just pop it in because I'm having to go rewatch the video countless times, making sure there's no dead space, there's none of this, there's none of that. And rambling as well. I know a lot of people do that. They ramble and then they're like, nah, I don't like that. So cut it out. And I'm having to go back, rewatch, make sure there's no dead space. And also, one of the biggest icks for me is when they say do what you want and then they get
Mm.
it back and they don't like
They
it.
don't like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you kind of have something in your head of what you want for your video, just kind of write it down on a list and you can give it to me and I'll make sure you have each one of those things down uh, in your video. And so it makes the process a lot easier. You get your YouTube videos a lot faster. You get more content out. If you're just more organized and have things together and have what you want envisioned already.
That makes a lot of sense. That's very helpful. Makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about your coloring book a little bit. So, what made you decide I want to do a color? I got all this. I got school. I've, got clients I'm doing this technology video stuff for, but I think I'm going to do a book too. Like, what was that process like? What was the spark that made you decide that was your next project?
So drawing for me had always really had been a hobby and I was still learning. So especially on the digital side, graphic art, I was really still learning. And so my mother had came to me with the idea of taking the art that I had been just drawing and making it into a coloring book so that have something like a little portfolio and something that little black girls all around the world can enjoy because I know there's not a lot of media out there for African American children, especially for girls, because African American girls they have the worst self-esteem probably are worldwide, but I wanted to make something for them to show them, hey, there's different skin colors, there's different body types, there's different hair textures, and whatever category you fit in, you're beautiful. And so that's what I really wanted to make with this coloring book. So I just took art and I started really focusing and narrowing it down for my coloring book, specifically for African American children.
Can you show us one of like the inside pictures of like actually what people would be coloring?
So one of my favorite ones, I'm gonna
Yeah,
find it
sure,
real quick.
sure. Yeah.
This one was my favorite one. I think she's so beautiful. Oh
People will
dang.
be able to see because of the light. Let's see. If not, it's okay. Oh, yes, I can see now. Perfect.
She's a mod. I know she's a model and a model with vitiligo, and
Uh-huh.
she really spoke to me because she was able to. Oh Lord, my lighting! But she was still able to do something that she loved, um, with her skin condition, and I think that's very beautiful. So I really wanted to include her in the coloring book. I have others.
And
Just
tell me, I love that. Well, I mean, I love that you are able to articulate that clearly the social media images for a long time, media images in general around Black girls and women have not been favorable, right? And even before there was media, and we especially being an OBGYN, we talk a lot about the development of our field and how enslaved women were mistreated and used for experimentation and medical and scientific development. And so there's this narrative around how Black women and Black girls are seen in this country, and it comes over to today, right? And so thinking about media
Right.
images on the news for a long time, and now social media drives some of these same negative imagery that can cause poor self-esteem or negative self-worth. So being so young, like how did you not just understand it, but want to do something about it? Like, do you know what that process was for you?
Yes, I went through a pretty difficult time with myself and my self-esteem, probably when I was 10. And coming out, I used to go to a majority white school. So coming out of that, when I came out, I started looking at myself like I do not look the same. And at first, I thought I was not pretty and that my body type was ugly. But after some time and being able to reflect on myself, because that's when COVID hit, so I had a lot of time to look at myself and look on the outside. And I had gained a lot of more friends that look more like me, not just Black. Uh, there were a lot of Hispanic, and I even had some white friends that, they look a lot more like me. So I was able to see that that was just one part of my life that, was really a false reality. Not everybody looks like this. And I was able to see that a lot more people have a lot of different types of body types, a lot of different skin colors. And I was able to see that I'm pretty just the way I am, and other people are pretty just the way they are, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I really, when I was able to come to that realization that, I'm pretty and other people are pretty as well, I really wanted to show other people and other girls that might be going through the same thing or probably are going through the same thing that I went through, that this is beautiful too. And just because it's not the norm right as now does not mean that it cannot be, because you are normal and you are pretty just the way you are. That's what I really wanted to show through my book.
And you are wise beyond your years, my dear. There are a lot of people who definitely have to evolve and that are still evolving into that as an adult. For me, I remember being your age and I had really bad acne, and it just really messed with my self-esteem and my self-image. And honestly, I think I was 30 before I thought I was pretty, right? And so it's amazing how, we still have to evolve into um, what normal is. And when you're, to your point, being in a school where people kind of look and act and dress a certain way and come from a certain background can skew, right, the normalcy of reality because you think that this must be how all people are. But then when you have that diversity of perspective and you see that rainbow of beauty and how we all can be beautiful and however we're made, however we show up. And that, I mean, that's powerful. And I mean, I think that, especially when we talk, of course, on this show, we talk a lot about health equity and diversity and inclusion and belonging. But that's really that's the beauty of it, right? Being around people who look different than you, come from a different background, but are still, no less important, no less beautiful, no less um, engaged in the community than you are, I think is wonderful. So I'm glad that you can share that. I'm glad that you could see that. And I'm also glad that you can share that with your peers, right? So, it's
Right.
one thing for me to say it or for your mom to say it to somebody around your age. Then for you to say it carries so much more weight. So thank you for seeing it and being able to share.
Thank you.
Um, so what's next? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what's next in the immediate future? Like, what's your next project this summer? And then we'll talk about like what's next, like after high school. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up, you know.
Grow up. So next on my list, and I'm actually working with one of my peers from my track team. We're both homeschooled, so we really wanted to do a podcast. We're getting together on that about just going through normal things as a teenager. Like, what things do you go through every day? Because we're both entrepreneurs. She owns a food truck, and I own my multimedia company. So, uh, and as teenagers, owning a business and having that mindset young is so astonishing to people. And I really want to share our stories and show them and show other children what they can do. Uh, Not just school activities. You could do so much more with your talents. And I want kids to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many opportunities, and to your point, like I think we, especially in the school age lane, you're very focused on going to school, maybe doing one activity, like the people who are in music or dance or athletics, right? But being entrepreneurial just opens your eyes to so many things and preps you, for whatever you're going to do next. So, what do you think you want to do with all these talents you have? What are your long-term career goals? I'm sure you have a few of them.
um, for my long term, I'm actually looking into becoming a UXI designer for apps. And so computer science, I'm looking into majoring in college. And that doesn't mean I don't want to do anything. I don't want to stop anything that I'm doing now.
Exactly.
But for long-term goals, that's something that I'm looking into.
I like it. I like it. So, as we kind of close, I usually like to give some words of wisdom, some pearls of advice. So you've already dropped a lot, right? For our listeners and thinking about what the opportunities are outside of your day job, right? Being personal, reflective, and seeing the beauty within and sharing that with others. Using your talent to create, and not just create for yourself, but you create for others too. So you're expanding other people's talents. So like I said, wise beyond your years. You're doing a lot more than a lot of people in the world. But for kids in and around your age, or even actually, let's ask a different question. For the adults who have kids around your age or interact with kids your age, how can they best support you or support their kids in doing these things? Because your mom's awesome, right? She does a lot to make sure that you're engaged and encouraged, and you have clients, and she does a lot. But so tell other adults, like, how can they be engaged and supportive so that they can help their young people?
Really? I would just say listen to your kids and watch their talents because I know a lot of talented kids that do even more than I do, but their parents are so focused on, do you have a boyfriend? What you doing in school? I mean, school is important, not saying that school is not important, but they don't see the talents that their children have and they don't fuel into that. And some kids, the parents just want a certain way for them, and there's so many different avenues to go into. So I would just say listen to your kid and try and understand their talents so that you can help them, achieve their dreams and goals. And they can start now. It does not have to be when you're 18 in college trying to support yourself through college, trying to do all this different stuff. It could be right now while school is pretty easy before you get to college. And that's basically what my mother's doing for me. So I really enjoy that. I have a lot of creative movement and I still have a path. I also just have other side businesses that have make me a lot of money. So
The money is the nice part too, right? And you're still I mean, you hang out with your brothers and your brothers and sisters, right?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was like, oh wait, I was like, am I wrong? And I mean, your parents are great, right? And y'all hang out and do a lot of stuff. And like you said, you have friends, and you're also, hanging out with your friends, but also creating
Yeah.
with your friends. So, I just want to say that just because you are being professional and entrepreneurial doesn't mean you're not also being a kid, right?
Right, right. I hang out with my friends all the time. We're going to Sky Zone next week.
Love it.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, my dear, it has been a pleasure talking to you today, and learning about all the things that you're doing, and just being an inspiration to all those around you. And of course, I'm thankful for everything that you do for Read Scholars, because Read Scholars Live would not exist otherwise. So thank you for that. And good luck with everything that is on your journey. There are things that you haven't even imagined that you're going to do. And so I'm looking forward to following along on that journey with you as well. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mary, for having me.
Of course. Thank you for listening to Read Scholars Live. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel.